The top stories tonight in Y News. The government aims to vaccinate around 300,000 people a day once the bulk of the COVID-19 vaccines arrives in the country.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government urges local government units in Metro Manila to adopt uniform curfew hours.
An epidemiologist warns that Metro Manila could see up to 9 times more COVID-19 cases after a month. The Japanese government has decided to exclude overseas spectators from attending this year's Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics.
Singapore opens the world's first bubble facility for business travelers.
And Chinese researchers found that selenium in soil contributes to low coronavirus infections. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Commonwealth Avenue in Quezon City. Today is Wednesday, March 10, 2021. I am Harilyn Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am Katu Maraos.
First in the news. The Philippines targets to vaccinate around 300,000 people a day once the bulk of vaccine supplies arrives in the country. Meanwhile, the government aims to start the vaccination of the general public by the middle of this year. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
The government is eyeing to vaccinate against COVID-19 the 50 million of the Filipino adult population this year, 2021. To achieve this, the Duterte administration says at least 250,000 individuals should be vaccinated every day. And the government will start this when the massive vaccine supplies arrive in the country.
Ang target natin ay roughly 250,000 to 300,000 a day. Pero ito ay depende sa supply na makukuha natin. Ano? So, ngayon, nag-uumpisa pa lang tayo, pero confident po tayo na pagdating po ng supply sa tulong ng ating mga LGUs, ng ating mga pribadong kumpanya, pagdating natin sa punto na nagba-vaccinate na tayo ng general population, aabot po tayo sa ganitong numero.
Last Monday, vaccine czar Carlito Galvez reported that 44,000 vaccine doses have already been administered. The government will also study the proposal to have a 24-hour vaccination through shifting of vaccinators once bulk of supplies are already available. Meanwhile, the inoculation of all health workers and senior citizens in the country is projected to be finished by mid-year. After this, the vaccination of the general population will be next, according to National Task Force Against COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer Secretary Vince Dizon.
So tama po sana pagdating ng Moderna at ng iba pang mga bakuna, malapit na po tayo o magsisimula na tayo sa ating general population.
In relation to the first batch of vaccine supplies which arrived in the Philippines recently, the first doses of the 600,000 donated Sinovac vaccines have already been deployed, while more than half of the 525,600 AstraZeneca vaccines are also distributed to various hospitals in the country. In the third week of March, the procured 1 million doses of Sinovac vaccines amounting to 700 million pesos are expected to arrive in the Philippines. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, urges local government units in Metro Manila to adopt a uniform curfew hours. Janice Inhenta tells us why.
Some cities in Metro Manila have already implemented their curfew hours following the continuous increase of COVID-19 cases in the region. In San Juan City, the LGU re-implemented the citywide curfew last night from 10 p.m. until 5 in the morning. 1,000 pesos fine for the first violation, 5,000 pesos including 8 hours of community service for the following violations.
Hindi porket nandyan na yung bakuna, pwede nang maglamyer daw, pwede nang maggala, pwede nang tumambay. Hindi po ganon. Tandaan natin, nasa ilalim pa rin po tayo ng pandemya.
The same curfew hours is implemented in Malabon, Navotas, Quezon City, and Marikina. While the city of Parañaque and Muntinlupa has also extended the curfew implementation from 10 in the evening until 4 in the morning. Curfew hours in Pateros, Valenzuela, Pasay, Taguig, Las Piñas, Makati City, Manila, and Pasig, meanwhile, starts at 12 midnight. The Department of Interior and Local Government noticed that there are various curfews implemented by the LGUs which can cause confusion to the public. Because of this, the DILG on Wednesday called on local government units in Metro Manila to adopt uniform curfew hours. In a statement, the DILG spokesperson and Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya said that implementing uniform curfew hours across 16 cities and a municipality in Metro Manila would make it easier for the public to comply as people tend to live and work in different localities. The DILG will leave the decisions to the mayors on what hours to impose, but suggested that the curfew should start at 10 p.m. Malaya likewise stressed that the policy on wearing face masks and face shields and physical distancing should be strictly imposed in all LGUs and that violators should be fined based on the prevailing ordinances. Temperature checks and filling out contact tracing forms manually or through the Stay Safe .ph app should remain a must in all establishments and workplaces. Janice Enhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
2 government hospitals in Quezon City have reached their full capacity due to the rising numbers of COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, authorities are also strictly monitoring 20 barangays with high numbers of COVID-19 transmission. Joe Anano tells us why.
As the Quezon City logs almost 200% increase in the daily new COVID-19 cases, most are associated with household transmission. 2 out of 3 local government-run hospitals reported that they have reached their full capacity. These are the Quezon City General Hospital, whose COVID-19 ward has exceeded its full capacity, and the Novaliches District Hospital that breaches its capacity to 118.75%. Even the Hope facilities that serves as an isolation facility for patients with mild COVID-19 symptoms has reached the occupancy rate of 94%. Despite these data, the city government assures that they still have backup isolation facilities in the event of a surge of COVID-19 cases. As of now, the city government is monitoring 20 barangays that has recorded the most number of COVID-19 cases, including Barangay West Crame, Barangay Kaligayahan, Batasan Hills, San Bartolome, Maharlika, Commonwealth, among others. To curb further transmission of the virus, the local government has intensified their crackdown for those residents who are violating the minimum health protocol. The QC Task Force Disciplina has apprehended 1,390 violators and was given their corresponding penalties. Mayor Joy Belmonte said that she has conducted consultations with barangays, business owners, and other stakeholders to know the appropriate quarantine measures to be implemented on the areas of concern. The local chief cited that they are considering to limit the capacity in churches, hotels, restaurants to prevent the increasing number of COVID-19 cases.
It's safe to say that the city government is considering restrictions, but we are also trying to be guided by our current data so that we can make restrictions in the right places. Because I also believe that we should not be sacrificing our economy again.
Mayor Belmonte also said that for now, they are not considering implementing strict border restrictions as this will be very difficult for the city to implement the policy alone.
Dito sa Quezon City, tingin ko hindi po pwede yung border restrictions kung lungsod lang po ang mag-i-implement nito, no, without the national government making this a policy of the government. Because una, napaka-porous po ng Quezon City. There are entry points everywhere from all over. And kulang po tayo sa manpower para i-man lahat ito. Tapos ano po yung protocols dito? Kung hindi naman po ito national government policy, ano po yung tamang protocol? Kailangan po ba natin i-test lahat ng papasok? Saan po tayo kukuha ng pondo para i-test yung mga papasok?
Mayor Belmonte said that the QC LGU is considering to impose other stricter health protocols in order to combat the spike of COVID-19 cases. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The government's Interagency Task Force Sub-Technical Working Group on Data Analytics warns that COVID-19 cases in the National Capital Region may multiply 9 times higher. Aiko Miguel explains why.
With the presence of the B.1.1.7 variant in the Philippines, the country may see higher cases of COVID-19. Dr. John Wong from the Interagency Task Force Sub-Technical Working Group on Data Analytics said the variant first discovered in the United Kingdom is more transmissible. Experts warn that COVID-19 cases in the National Capital Region may prominently rise to 9 times more, and that action should be done to prevent it to be dominant variant in the country.
In certain cities in NCR, we've seen if the UK variant becomes the dominant strain, no? Meaning it infects more than 50% of the cases, we can have 9 times more cases after a month. So we have to take precautions to avoid this.
The country so far logged cases of the B.1.1.7 and the B.1.351, the UK and South Africa. Dr. Wong says variant discovered in UK may possibly be the reason why COVID-19 infection transmits faster in the country.
Iba yung effect ng UK at South African variant. Yung South African variant makes the virus more resistant to the vaccine, but does not increase transmissibility. Yung UK variant increases transmissibility, no? So maybe part of the surge that we're experiencing now is due to the UK variant.
Aside from the protection a vaccine can give, minimum public health standards is still an effective way to prevent being infected with it. Based on hospitals' report, most cases recorded now belong to the family cluster of COVID-19 infection. Experts advise the public to be more cautious when going outdoors. This is to prevent bringing home the virus.
Mahirap kasi talagang mapigilan ang pagkalat ng sakit pagka nakapasok na sa pamamahay. Siyempre, ang atin namang behavior is pagdating natin sa bahay, hindi na tayo nagmamask.
Opo.
At siyempre, malapitan ang ating interactions. So, ang tanging solusyon dyan is dapat hindi tayo mahawaan sa labas ng bahay para ligtas pa rin yung mga taong kasama natin. Ang pag-iingat, dapat ini-impose natin ang husto dun sa labas para pagpasok sa loob ng bahay, we can engage in our normal behaviors.
People are advised to not interact with family members when have just arrived at home. A person must take a bath and change his clothes first. Disinfect things by wiping it with alcohol and not just direct spraying. Dr. Anna Ong Lim says people should be wise in planning a destination and time to go outdoors, avoiding crowded places, especially during transportation.
We need to plan how we move around in the communities, no? Piliin natin yung mga lugar kung saan hindi masyadong nagsisiksikan. Pumili tayo ng oras kung kailan tayo kailangan lumabas para hindi tayo nakikipag-agawan dun sa transportation na ginagamit natin. And in that way, pwede natin siguro makontrol yung physical distancing together with the other factors that we can also implement.
Experts add while waiting for vaccines, it is better to avoid getting infected and responsibly wear face mask, face shield, observing cough etiquette, proper hand washing, and physical distancing. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration says that some hotels in Metro Manila are now fully occupied by returning Filipino workers, and the imminent return of more OFWs could overwhelm the quarantine facilities. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration is now spending 30 million pesos daily in accommodating around 10,000 overseas Filipino workers in 140 hotels in Metro Manila. OWA Administrator Hans Leo Kakdak said that the increase of expenses is due to the extension of quarantine period to 8 to 9 days and the conduct of the COVID-19 swab test 5 days after arrival. OFW used to have only 3 days of quarantine when the RT-PCR test is being done upon the arrival at the airport. The new protocol wants to have a more accurate COVID-19 test result.
Kaya nga, we had resorted to budget hotels and facilities. Kasi nga, na-overwhelm na yung mga hotels natin dito sa Metro Manila.
Kakdak said that their budget is now depleting and they have notified the budget department on the matter.
As a result, talagang challenge ng ating budget ng funds natin ngayon. And we project na by April and May ay mauubos yung 2021 budget, yung 6.2 billion.
Around 470,000 OFWs have already arrived in the country and around 100,000 more are expected to be repatriated this year. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screens and ring the bell for notifications. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Senate has adopted the report on the National Defense Committee on its investigation on the alleged red tagging activities of some military members. The committee report recommends the immediate removal of Armed Forces of the Philippines Southern Luzon Command Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade from his position as a spokesperson of the National Task Force against Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC. According to Senate Committee on National Defense Chairperson Panfilo Lacson, who sponsored the report, the appointment of Parlade in a civilian position in the government is in violation of the Constitution. He noted that they should prevent the potential conflict between the policies of the NTF-LCAC and the mandate of the security sector. Philippine National Police, or PNP Chief General de Bolsinas, has tapped the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, or CIDG, to probe the shootout that killed Calbayog City Mayor Ronaldo Aquino. Lea Ilaga reports.
The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, or CIDG, will join the Special Investigation Task Group that will conduct a thorough investigation into the killing of Calbayog City Mayor Ronald Aquino in Samar. PNP Chief Police General de Bolsinas said 7 IMEG and 1 PDEU personnel involved in the incident already gave their affidavits and now under the custodial investigation.
Ngayon, kinumpose na nila yung SITG at pinagkukuha na po yung lahat na involved na tao at yung mga baril para po ma-ballistics at saka ma-fingerprint sila at saka parapin tests.
Sinas also defended his men who were just there to monitor potential activities of Reds in civilian clothes and with high-power firearms before they encountered the group of Mayor Aquino.
Alam mo niya may lugar na yun, that is critical yan at malakas po ang CCP-NP activities doon. So part of our activities is to conduct red teaming, yung ina-inspect yung mga stations para malaman kung ready sila. Particularly na malapit na ang anniversary ng CCP-NPA.
Sinas earlier said it was a shootout and authorities involved simply retaliated. The incident happened along Labuyo Bridge in Barangay Lanoy, Calbayog City at around 5:30 in the afternoon Monday, February 8. Killed in the incident were Mayor Aquino, his security escort Police Staff Sergeant Rodillo Sario, and driver Dennis Abayan, Gandara Samar Police Chief and PDEU OIC Captain Joselito Tabada, and Police Staff Sergeant Romeo Lauyon of PDEU. A civilian identified as Clint John Paul Yauder was also killed after being hit during the crossfire. Lea Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A Senate panel has approved the 25-year franchise of the country's third telco player DITO Telecommunity. DITO aims to achieve a network coverage for over half of the country's population by July as part of its commitment to the government. Meanwhile, a lawmaker is seeking to require telco companies to institute a refund mechanism to its customers who will experience service disruptions. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
2 days after its commercial launch in Visayas and Mindanao, the Senate Committee on Public Services has approved the franchise renewal of DITO Telecommunity Corporation. Formerly known as the Mindanao Islamic Telephone Company or MISLATEL, the bill seeks to grant DITO a fresh 25-year franchise before it expires in 2023. The committee also approved the franchise bids of other broadcast and telco companies such as Instant Data Incorporated and Trans-Pacific BGI. According to the National Telecommunications Commission or NTC, DITO Telecom passed the technical audit for its first-year commitment of 37% population coverage and minimum speed of 27 mbps. Based on the independent audit, the telco player reached 85.9 mbps for its 4G connection and up to 507 mbps for 5G sites. DITO Telecom aims to reach 84% population coverage by 2025 with a minimum average speed of 55 mbps. The NTC reminds DITO that they have to continue to be on track with the rollout as the start of its customer usage may already reflect in the next audit in July.
We expect that they will be moving faster in the rollout because by the time there will be users already in the network, and the result of the speed may vary already. If they cannot put up more infrastructure, they may not be able to provide that 55 Mbps.
The telco player says over 2,200 cell towers have been built so far. Over 6,000 of those who signed up for subscription online are considered qualified. DITO Telecom is eyeing to begin its operations in Metro Manila in June.
We are confident, ma'am, that we can meet the population coverage required of us of 51%, because right now we're nearing 45% population coverage. And that we are very aggressive in our 5G rollout that would allow us to maintain the 55 Mbps minimum average broadband speed.
Meanwhile, Senator Lito Lapid has filed a bill seeking to require telco companies and internet service providers to establish a refund mechanism. The senator believes customers should not be paying for a service that they have not enjoyed or used for hours and even days due to service disruptions. Under Senate Bill 2092, telco companies should provide a refund credit or bill adjustment to customers who have experienced service outage or disruption for an aggregate period of 24 hours or more within a month. The telco companies and ISPs should not require customers to take any action in order to receive the refund credit. Arlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God. Police officers will now call out people practicing public display of affection or PDA to help curb the continued rise of COVID-19 cases. The directive covers acts such as kissing, embracing, and holding hands in public. Apart from couples, family members and friends in public places are also covered by the directive. Senate President Pro Tempore Ralph Recto urged the PNP to clarify its policy against PDA, which he said appears to be a war on love. Recto also questioned the PNP's reason for discouraging PDA, noting that couples stay in the same households anyway. The local government unit in the capital city, Manila, will distribute food boxes to about 1,000 families that will be affected by the lockdown. Asher Kadapan Jr. reports.
The Manila city government assures the residents in areas that will be placed under a 4-day lockdown that they will not get hungry while they stay inside their homes. Based on the executive order issued by the local government, only authorized persons outside residence or APOR with essential reasons will be allowed outdoors. Anyone else who will be caught outside their residence will be brought to the city's quarantine facility to undergo a 14-day quarantine to ensure they are not carrying the disease. With this, Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso orders the LGUs to distribute food boxes to about 2,200 families from the 3 barangays that will be under lockdown starting later at midnight. In Barangay 351, the local government personnel as well as the residents are all ready for the implementation of the lockdown starting tomorrow.
Handa na po sila ngayon. Kahapon pa po kami nag-iikot na mamili na sila hanggang mamayang gabi ng mga pangangailangan nila dahil wala po talagang makakalabas kahit sino, kundi yung mga frontliner lang na pinayagan ni Mayor.
Mayor Dumagoso, however, said that more areas in Manila may be placed under lockdown, but economy and other factors need to be considered in its implementation.
So yes, there's possibility. We are ready at di kami mangingimi, no? To the point, pwede yan buong Maynila. Bakit hindi? If there is a need. But then again, things must be considered.
Based on the initial report of the Manila LGU, spread of COVID-19 within a household primarily contributes to the increase in the number of active cases in the city. Residents are advised to observe the minimum health protocols even while inside their homes. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Caloocan City government will implement the wearing or bearing of quarantine pass among residents more strictly beginning tomorrow. JP Nunez will tell us why.
Authorities in Caloocan City will apprehend violators of the quarantine pass protocol beginning tomorrow, March 11, within the city. A violator will be ticketed with a corresponding fine of not more than 1,000 pesos.
Kailangan sila matikitan para malaman nila na hindi sila sumunod doon sa batas na inutos. At may quarantine pero hindi naman doon sa araw na yon, bawal pa rin yun. Dalawa kasi yun, green and orange. Pag araw ng green ginamit mo, yung orange, bawal yun. Titikitan ka nun.
Some vendors believe this ordinance could help the city prevent the further spread of COVID-19.
Okay lang din po yung pagtupad ng quarantine pass para malimitahan yung paglabas ng tao at mabawasan yung cases ng COVID na.
Mas mapapabuti po, mababawasan yung cases ng COVID.
Residents and market-goers who failed to bear or wear a quarantine pass today were spared, but Caloocan City residents are reminded that the effectivity of an executive order on the color-coded quarantine pass began today. The Caloocan City government clarifies that this color-coded quarantine pass is applicable only in supermarkets and other marketplaces. However, private business establishments are encouraged to implement minimum health standards more strictly. According to the City Health Department, the number of COVID-19 cases in the city has risen to 371 this March from 80 in November last year. JP Nunez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Health said it detected 2,886 more cases nationwide, raising the total number of confirmed infections to 603,308. The DOH also announced that the death toll increased to 12,545 after 17 more deaths were recorded. There were also 221 new survivors, increasing the tally of recoveries to 546,293. Active cases, or those who were still undergoing treatment for COVID-19, stood at 44,470, or 7.4% of the overall tally. Of the active cases, 91.7% have mild symptoms, 4% were asymptomatic, 1.7% were in critical condition, 1.7% were in severe condition, and 0.80% have moderate symptoms. And for the news abroad, Queen Elizabeth has broken her silence on her grandson Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's tell-all interview with Oprah Winfrey. In a short statement released by Buckingham Palace on behalf of the Queen, the British royals were saddened by the challenging experiences of her grandson Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, and promised to privately address revelations about a racist remark about their son. Meghan, in an interview with Oprah Winfrey aired on U.S. television on Sunday, accused Britain's royal family of raising concerns about how dark their son Archie's skin might be and ignoring her pleas for help while she considered suicide. The palace considered that this was a family matter and that the royals should be given the opportunity to discuss the issues raised privately as a family. Japan has decided to stage this summer's Tokyo Olympic Games and Paralympics, but without spectators from other countries. Marvi Delfin reports why live. Marvi?
Kath, the Japanese government had concluded that welcoming fans from abroad would not be possible, especially with the detection of more contagious variants in many countries, according to Kyodo News Agency. Having the event postponed by a year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Olympics is scheduled for July 23 to August 8, and the Paralympics from August 24 to September 5. Kyodo News Agency quoted officials saying that the opening ceremony of the torch relay on March 25 would also be held without spectators and only with participants and invitees. However, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, has downplayed Kyoto's report and responded that no final decision on overseas spectators had yet been taken. The government and the Japanese Organizing Committee of the Summer Games are expected to hold an online meeting with the IOC and two other bodies to formally address the issue. A recent newspaper poll revealed that most people in Japan do not want international visitors to attend the games amid fears that a large influx of travelers could spark a resurgence of infections. The survey showed 77% of respondents were against allowing foreign fans to attend the Olympics and Paralympics versus 18% in favor. 1 million overseas spectators were estimated to enter Japan, and some 4.45 million tickets have already been sold in the country, of which 810,000 requests for refunds have been made so far. Though the president of World Athletics, Sebastian Coe, said that athletes are prepared for the trade-off of having smaller crowds in order to complete the Tokyo Games. While COVID-19 infection numbers have been relatively low in Japan compared with the US and many European countries, Japan's vaccination program has been slow due to supply shortage. The country has been hit hard by the third wave of the pandemic and remains under a state of emergency. Kath?
Thank you, Marvi Delfin, reporting live from Australia.
And for the news abroad, a second official from ousted Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi's party has died whilst detainment after being arrested on Tuesday by the military. Early Briones tells us the details why live. Yes, Early.
Good evening, Harleen. Zormiat Lin, a party official of the Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy, or NLD, who was arrested on Tuesday, stated by Bam Myo Thi-in of the Upper House Parliament, has died whilst in the hands of the military. He is now the second of the NDL official alongside with Kin Maung Lat that had died while being detained by the military. There has been no direct statement released by the military and the police. Zormiat Lin was committed to participating in the daily protests that have taken place since Myanmar was seized by the military. The family of Zormiat Lin were told to collect his body and now attempting to regain his body at the military hospital. Though a friend of Miet Lin, Maung Song Ka, stated that they were not informed of how he died and that the wounds in which he gained on the abdomen were from an attempt to escape detainment. Due to the mass civil disobedience that is currently happening, the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners said that the over 60 protesters have been killed, with 2,000 being taken by the military. Those who were spotted out at night during the enforced curfews were arrested, and a nationwide blockage of internet use for 24 nights has been imposed. Questions regarding torture and violence within the military are beginning to arise. Harleen?
Thank you, Early Briones, reporting live from Australia. Business travelers from all parts of the globe will now be able to stay and have in-person meetings at a dedicated facility in Singapore without having to first quarantine themselves. Queenie Rivera will tell us why.
To help kickstart travel and business meetings in the country as COVID-19 situation still evolves, Singapore accommodates its first batch of business travelers at Changi at Connect facility, the world's first bubble-wrap business center that is excluded from the community of Singapore. The facility, or described as Hotel cum Business Center, allows the overseas visitors to stay and conduct meetings without the need to serve the 14-day quarantine period. The meeting rooms can hold 4 to 22 persons. Each of it has an airtight glass division in between the meeting table and a separate ventilation system, as well as separate exit and entrance doors for overseas visitors and for their Singapore-based counterparts or guests from other countries. The business travelers still need to undergo the PCR testing upon arrival and will be transferred to their rooms at Changi Yacht Connect. They have to stay in until the result is out, which will take about 6 to 12 hours. Moreover, to minimize the contact between the guest and the facility staffs, there are shelves outside the rooms for the meals to be delivered, and there will be no room services for the entire stay of the guests. Part of its amenities are the self-serve kiosks, vending machines, a courtyard, and a gym pod. Room rates at the facility start at 384 Singapore dollars for 24 hours. Which is inclusive of 3 meals, minibar, toiletries, Wi-Fi, two-way airport transfer, as well as COVID-19 tests required during the course of the stay. At the end of the expansion of this facility, it will be able to host about 1,300 business travelers. Currently, Changi Yacht Connect can accommodate small-scale business meetings like important negotiations, signing of legal contracts, or regional meetings. Queenie Rivera, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Based on a new study, researchers in China found that the mineral selenium contributes to low coronavirus infections. Nina Bascon will tell us why.
A recent study published on Sunday in an environmental research journal supports the claim that selenium helps reduce the COVID-19 infection rate. According to the team led by Professor Ma Jin of the Chinese Research Academy of Environmental Sciences in Beijing, a relatively high selenium can enhance human immunity and withstand coronavirus. The theory was first speculated last year during China's COVID-19 outbreak. Anshi, a city in western Hubei, China, recorded 6 COVID-19 cases per 100,000 residents, compared to other cities soaring between 2 to 20 times higher. Anshi has the world's largest deposit of selenium, and this led to the speculations that the answer might be the selenium in its soil. Based on the data collected by Ma and the team, as the selenium levels decreased, the COVID cases increased. The scientists believe that selenium might have been a vital factor in the human immunity against the virus. In June 2020, there was a similar study led by Professor Margaret Raymond. The research showed a significant link between COVID-19 cure rate and selenium concentration in human hair. According to Kate Bennett, a medical statistician at Raymond's University, it is important not to exaggerate the findings as other factors have not been considered. In Heidelberg University Hospital in Germany, an article was published regarding the discovery that COVID-19 patients with selenium deficiency had a higher mortality risk. Several investigations also led to the conclusion that selenium is involved in human cell processes such as DNA repair. However, excessive selenium could also be dangerous. According to Li Jiangqi, a professor in Shanxi Normal University, more solid evidence under controlled environment is required, and people should not take selenium supplements without the doctor's supervision. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news, March 10, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am Kat Dumaraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand, sitting in for William Teo. We serve the people, we give glory to God.